Guys, is uranium the only way forward? Why I believe that Australia is going to be a huge winner in the uranium boom to come. I believe that uranium and nuclear energy is the only way forward. I believe that the reason why energy is to go higher is also this data center expansion. I understand there's going to be the power required for data centers by 2030 is expected to double. There's 5,400 data centers in the US currently. That's expected to double, but one data center uses the same power as 250,000 homes on average. So you can do the math for how that is quite unsustainable. It's expected that data centers alone are going to account for 3% of all global energy in 2030 onwards. And then remember, that's also scaling over time. So that's a country the size of Japan. Their energy requirements is just going to be the requirements for data centers. And I believe that's just based out of the US. So that's an interesting thing. And yeah, so current legislative changes that they're talking about passing in Australia, they're running very interesting proof of concept pilot programs on one of their aircraft carriers. Is it the Gerald Ford? Is it that one? Out of the US, they're running it as a temporary nuclear base, right? They're trialing a micro reactor out of there. And it's quite interesting. I believe that its capacity alone can power 50,000 homes. And that's a floating, so essentially it can be a floating form of a nuclear plant. But that's all the testing. That's just the proof of concept. That's testing. Several technologies that the US has actually tested via the military before giving to civilians. GPS is one. There's been others, sorts of sonar, technology that they've tested in the war that's then been tested and passed down to the consumer. I believe that's going to happen with nuclear energy. I think, yeah, so uranium, I believe, is going to be a huge winner. The Australia itself will be a massive winner. They have the biggest uranium reserves in the world. I believe in that sector. If you're a miner, but you're in that specific field, there's going to be a lot of money flowing into that space, I would believe. There's sort of like legislative things that they have to pass in Oz that they're actually talking about moving through now to, get more tolerant to nuclear energy, and those will take time to pass. I believe that they will. They can still take another year or two or even 3 years to pass, but I think that there's really no other way forward. And then you see the uranium price currently $85 a pound, and but the demand, I believe that the demand is going to scale considerably over the next 5 to 10 years, and then uranium to hit 5,000 tons in 2027 demand, right? I assume that that's what they mean for demand. But the interesting thing with it is demand is going to scale well because there's a lot of bottlenecks, and essentially they have the supply here. There's bottlenecks in the determination of demand. That's why I believe that it's an interesting market because you may very well be before the takeoff phase because there's a lot of things that they have to overcome via the government, like in the parliament, they have to overcome those. So I believe it's pre-takeoff phase. There is really nothing else. Like people can come to me and say, Steven, these laws and things they'll never pass. But you're telling me that again, what is it, 4 Mile Island? Microsoft essentially bought it, and now they're running. Their idea is that they'll run their own reactors out of there. You're telling me that these tech bosses they have all of these power requirements and they don't have enough leverage to get things passed in the government? They certainly do. They certainly do. That's what the lobby is for. And I believe that those things will have to come through. And then I think Australia will just be a huge winner of it, as it generally is. Australia is great because also it deals with all of these economies. Australia can deal with, selling uranium to Japan, South Korea, China, the US, France. China is becoming a rising force for nuclear as well. I believe that there really is no solution for them other than to go into that realm. And when they move into that realm in the energy market, that'll be huge. So yeah, going forward, I'm incredibly bullish on that space, and I believe that my thesis plays out, right? It's a 15-year play. Starting the meat of it starts into 2030, and I believe it's pre-takeoff phase. That sector is going to be enormous. Till next time.